there! Kenzie here. Today we'll learn how to read a chart in order to make an amigurumi bee. So when you got a new pattern, you usually start with reading the key to all the abbreviations that are going to appear in the pattern. In this case, or in most cases, though those abbreviations are pretty standard. SC standing for single crochet, INC for increase, DEC for decrease, and all these instructions will be written before or after the pattern, but usually a lot of people think that everybody knows that, but not necessarily. So we usually start with a magic ring. They assume that after the magic ring, you actually chain one and then you add your 6 single crochets. But there is an invisible chain here that you have to do, and everybody thinks that everybody knows that, but it exists. So after that, if you have a number in parentheses that stays at the end of the row, it means these are the number of the total stitches you'll have at the end of the round. So you can count them and then make sure they are the same. If you have parentheses, they don't necessarily have to be this shape. They could be any shape of parentheses. And usually there's a number after them, either with a star or with an X. It means that you have to repeat whatever the instructions are inside the parentheses that number of times. So in this case, I have 6 repeats of increase and 1 single crochet, whatever's in the parentheses. And that's pretty much how all the instructions go. Sometimes when they want to tell you to switch a color, they'll put that color as a background of that round. So if you wonder why their color, that might be it. In this case, I have to put a black color, a black row on row number 7 for 24 stitches, single crochets, which means I'm not going to be decreasing. They'll be staying 24 after this row. And then the instructions will tell you where to put the eyes, on which row, how many stitches between the eyes, when to stop and when to sew, or what to do after that. So there's this way of writing patterns. However, there is another way of writing patterns, which is this way. And here you can see the difference. Instead of increase, we have V, which stands for an increase. And this also will show in your key. Then we have X, which means a single crochet. And this is supposed to be X. And the number here also shows how many times we need to do that repeat. There is no X here, but like in math, we don't have to put X when we multiply. So it's the same as a math problem. You have 6 repeats of an increase in single crochet for a total of 18 single crochets at the end of the round. However, you can have one more chart that shows you what to do that looks like that. And here, if we divide that little pie in a little pie piece here, we will see that we have the magic ring again, like everywhere. Here, if it's not written and the shape is round, of course you start with the magic ring. But here they mentioned that sometimes this circle is not finished because it's a magic ring and you have to pull it to tighten it. But the next row will be 6 single crochets. Then that single crochet will get an increase here, like in our second row here and here. And this will happen 6 times. Then the third row will be increase over that stitch. And then we'll have 1 single crochet just like that and just like that for another 6 times. And then when we go to row number 4, that stitch will get 2 increases, 2 stitches for an increase, and then the next 2 stitches will get 1 stitch only. And that's how we'll proceed. And that's pretty much how it goes. So let's get started with crocheting and following those charts. The chart tells us that we need to start with a magic ring. So wrap your yarn coming from under your middle finger going above and crisscrossing the working yarn, crisscross it with the tail. Go under the tail again, grab your working yarn, and now you do your first chain here. That chain is not on the instructions because everybody thinks that we all know that, but we don't. So after this chain, we do not count as a single crochet. From here on, we will be doing 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at this point, the pattern doesn't say, but if they don't say that, we go in a continuous spiral. It means we do not do a slip stitch here. We'll be doing single crochets, but we need to put a little marker here. So you can either use the tail as a marker, or you can use a different color yarn, or a ribbon that you cannot split easily as a marker. So once you're done with the end of the last stitch here, you put your marker under your crochet hook and the working yarn, and now you can go into that first stitch here and do your first single crochet. And I tightened too well here, so I'm gonna grab an even thinner hook so I can go through the stitch. So do not tighten too much before you do that first increase. So here's our first single crochet, and here is where the stitch marker is supposed to go. And then into the same space we do one more single crochet. And I can switch now to my regular crochet hook because it got too tight. And now you can even tighten your magic ring till you hear that clicking sound. And from now on, we're going to be increasing into each stitch, which means we'll do 2 single crochets for a total of 6 times, which means we'll have 12 single crochets. So now we are starting row number 3. We'll get our marker under our crochet hook, and the next stitch, the chart says increase, which means 2 single crochets into that stitch, and the next stitch will get 1 single crochet. Then we have 2 again into the same stitch and increase, and then 1. And then we're getting again the marker in front, and the row number 4 tells us that we're going to have an increase, so 2 stitches into that first stitch, and then we'll have 1 single crochet and 1 more single crochet. And then we're repeating the same thing in the parentheses. Increase, single crochet, single crochet for 2 times into the parentheses. And we keep going till the end of the row. After that, we are done with our increases. We will do 2 rows without any increases, then we'll switch to black, and the switching to the next color is just like that. You go into the next stitch, that's the beginning of the row, and instead of finishing your single crochet with the working yarn, you grab your next color and you pull through your loops, and then you're ready to continue with your new color. So after you're done with your rows, we will do the first 4 rows in white color, which will be the wings for our little bee. And now we're going to have to put the eyes for our bee. Put your eyes like 3 to 4 stitches away from each other, or the way you like it. And you can embroider mouth here as well, put the backs. And if you're brave or you really need to make them really strong, you can use a lighter and melt the ends here so they flatten. Attach a keyring as well. Give this little guy a little expression. And now we are ready to stuff. So I'm finishing that last stitch here. And we will sew that end like that. Get your tapestry needle, get to the corner here so you can catch all the stitches, and just go all the way till the end, getting stitches from both sides of your work, making sure there's no gap. If you need to stuff more, add some more stuffing the way you feel it. Add a little tassel and a bell to make them more festive. And the wings are the first 4 rows. We're gonna sew them just like that in the back. And you have your keychain or a card decoration, just like this, a little different version of the classic bee. All festive and ready for the season. In the meantime, you can subscribe to the channel, you can like this video, and watch the next